Thank you for staying with us as we look back into the not so good a year that was in motoring. This is a special presentation of Motoring Today featuring a look back at the year that was. We are now on the last quarter of 2015 that is seen by many as not the best of years for motoring and motorists, although there are signs that perhaps the next year should be better.
When the Mabuhay Christmas lanes proved not as good an alternative for avoiding traffic on major thoroughfares, owing to some being used as parking areas for vehicles of residents in the area with no garages, it seemed a good idea for one congressman to propose a remedy. House Bill 5098, or the Proof of Parking Space Act. The measure makes it mandatory for buyers of vehicles to show proof they have a garage or a space within the resident for their vehicles. On the rail front, beep cards are now being used in both LRT1 and LRT2. This is helping make going into and out of the stations a lot more convenient. The MRT is expected to soon be using the beep cards. A happy event to be sure, although the problem of lack of trains to meet the capacity remains. Those waiting for the extension of LRT1 from Baclaran to Bacoor, Cavite may have to wait for a wee bit longer. The Light Rail Manila Corporation, which has taken over LRT1 management and operation, claims it can't schedule the start of construction for the extension because of right-of-way problems. But the Light Rail Transit Authority claims 90% of right-of-way needs have been taken care of. Whose statement is more accurate? That's the question needing answers. But construction of the LRT2 extension to Antipolo is ready to begin, awaiting only the green light from the MMDA, which wants a traffic management plan presented and approved. MMDA expects construction to surely impact on traffic along the Marcos Highway and nearby areas. And it seems the MMDA doesn't want to be blamed for more traffic woes. More good news on the LRT front. The DOTC reports that the plan to acquire 120 light rail vehicles for LRT1 is on track, with submission of bids for the contract to be held in the middle of December. But LRT riders will have to wait at least 3 more years before the first of the new trains arrive. Double-decker buses are again being suggested as another solution to help with traffic congestion in the city. The metro has experience with double-deckers, the Motorco buses of yore that also served as a way to experience watching the sunset and other touristy sites along Rojas Boulevard, and the Love Bus double-deckers that has since go to rust in pieces. Waze, the popular navigation app, released a report that confirms what we already know, that the metro is among the list of urban areas in the world with the worst traffic conditions and naturally with the worst driving experience. What motorists didn't realize, though, that the metro lists among the top cities where you get good driver services. This category rates accessibility to gas stations and parking spaces, and more surprisingly is among cities considered safe. Dash cams and cameras that you can use to text and call people have made it easy for people to record dealings with traffic constables and post them on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the like have become to be the place to get back at the abusive traffic enforcers and the extortionists in uniform. The MMDA chairman trended on social media, and not positively, for saying that recording dealings with traffic enforcers or constables could be considered as wiretapping, and the one receiving or seeking a bribe was just as liable as the one offering the bribe. Nasty comments bordering on online bullying had the chairman soon backtracking and saying people have all the right to record dealings with MMDA personnel, especially if they are doing something illegal. It was supposed to be closed late in the first quarter, which happened, was supposed to be opened late in the second or early in the third quarter, which didn't happen. It was finally opened in the fourth. This is the Ayala Bridge, which was closed for repairs for a long time. It was partially reopened to traffic in October, with DPWH promising it would be fully opened in December when full repairs are all done. Petron and the Philippine National Police launched Lakbay Ligtas in October, which essentially is a program to turn some Petron stations into police outposts, where PNP personnel have complaints, help desks, and where mobile patrol units can hang out. It's a partnership that is seen to help keep motorists safe and maintain peace and order in the community. Just when things seemed to be going smoothly for Transport Network vehicle service units, the long-winded term used to categorize Uber and Grab taxi vehicles, there was word that LTFRB would soon require them to display the new 1342 hotline for complaints, something that would surely get Uber and Uber patrons seething. E-vehicles for mass transport didn't take off as electric vehicle industry hoped for 2015. There still is movement on that front, with local governments in cities like Bacoor passing an ordinance to give incentives to tricycle operators to shift to using e-trikes. Bacon has been working closely with an e-trike manufacturer and distributor to encourage the shift to e-vehicles, launching a fleet of e-trikes and establishing charging stations on some streets. The administration continues to encourage the construction and operation of more toll roads well into the fourth quarter of the year, and less than a year before its end of term. The NEDA approved the Plaridel Bypass Toll Road project until the public-private partnership. This envisions a 23-kilometer-long toll road from the Balagtas interchange of the NLEX going towards San Rafael in Bulacan. The LTFRB has canceled the franchise of a bus line, Everlasting Transport Company, for operating out of line on the Cagayan to Manila route. Everlasting was also fined 1 million pesos. The bus company had an LTFRB permit to operate out of line during Holy Week from March 29 to April 16, but a complaint was filed against the company for continuing to operate out of line even after Holy Week ended. The DOTC and LTO surprised many by issuing new rules and requirements in the application and testing for driver's licenses. Among the new rules is the provision raising the minimum age for application of student driver's permit from 16 to 17. The minimum age for getting a non-pro driver's license was raised to 18. The LTO also will begin accepting medical certificates attesting to an applicant's mental and physical fitness to drive, issued by any practicing physician. One significant new requirement is requiring applicants for professional driver's licenses to submit police and NBI clearances. This new requirement drew violent reactions from transport groups, one of which filed for a TRO against this new rule, with members of the House also writing on the resentment from would-be voters to this requirement. The LTO decided to bow to the pressure and just suspend the implementation of the particular provision until further studies are made. Just when the process of issuing driver's licenses became less tedious, and in some LTO branches, you could get your plastic license card immediately instead of weeks or months, a court has ordered the LTO to stop the award of the card supply contract to All Card Plastic Philippines. The LTO and DOTC vowed to exhaust all remedies to reverse the ruling. The HPG is taking its new role of managing traffic seriously. An officer is even suggesting solutions on how to make non-contact apprehension of traffic violators more effective. That car owners need to present proof of billing to ensure the addresses on their applications for registration or renewal of registrations are accurate. Perhaps it was only inevitable that the Bureau of Internal Revenue would get into the picture. The BAR moved to tax operation of transport network companies and the income of drivers of transport network service vehicles, issuing a memorandum that calls for TNCs like Uber and its like to register their operations with the BAR district offices and secure the required authority to print official receipts. Credit card companies dealing with TNCs were also reminded that payments are subject to existing tax laws and regulations. The APEC summit got motorists all heated up, especially as roads were closed. 2 lanes of EDSA co-opted for exclusive use of APEC vehicles. Roads leading to or from the airports closed for half an hour to an hour at a time to make way for arrival of heads of states. Thousands of commuters were stranded. Motorists failed to get work, caught in hours-long gridlock. Although those who were wise enough to use the early advisories to their advantage got around the metro just fine. One good thing about the APEC hullabaloo, authorities both at the national, metro, and local levels all teamed up to rid all the obstructions at the Mabuhay lanes, and all promising to keep the streets obstruction-free post-APEC and into the next year. In Parañaque, the city's traffic management office embraced the campaign to rid side street of obstructions. The TMO also moved to discourage business establishments from using sidewalks, road, and easements as exclusive parking areas for their customers. The Tanimbala scheme at the airport got the LTFRB involved in the investigation after it was reported the taxi drivers were conniving with rogue police and guards at the airport in their extortion scheme. The LTFRB summoning the driver concerned and tracing the owner of the franchise. After the long delay, the government finally awarded the contract for building the Integrated Transport System Terminal to Ayala Land Incorporated. The Integrated Transport Terminal will be built on a 5.57-hectare lot beside the FTI compound in Taguig. Over in the Visayas, the local governments of Cebu City and Cordova Town have agreed to a project to build a toll bridge linking Cebu to Cordova on Mactan Island that will help ease congestion on 2 other bridges linking both islands. In the last quarter of the year, motoring issues are being ventilated left and right, mainly by legislators looking to grade re-elected and would-be candidates looking for a seat in Congress, proposing solutions to traffic congestions, suggesting ways to improve mass transport, questioning policies of government agencies regulating the motoring and transport sectors. One House resolution sought an inquiry into allegations of graft and dubious practices related to the compulsory third-party liability coverage for all vehicles being registered with the LTO. The resolution called an LTO and Insurance Commission to address complaints against spurious insurance policies, delayed or non-payment of claims, and predatory pricing of insurance premiums. A senator stood on the Senate floor to sponsor a consolidated measure to require transport operators to install speed limiters on all their units to ensure these never go beyond the speed limit on city streets and highways. One presidential hopeful even called for terminating existing bus franchises and restrict the operation of intercity buses to 1 or just a few to do away with the cutthroat competition that has seen buses racing each other to get to passengers first, the cause of many fatal accidents. Another called for a review of existing routes and franchise with a view to rationalizing routes, to add buses to underserved routes and removing buses from oversaturated one, and to rid the system of colorum operators. One member of the House drew attention to his bill to punish heavily those responsible for the distribution of adulterated fuel. One development could be taken as good or bad news for motorists. MMDA issued specially made tow bars to mobile units to enable them to tow stalled vehicles on streets, to emergency bays, or to impounding areas. This is aimed at quickly removing stalled vehicles that cause traffic on thoroughfares. A good idea, but MMDA says the MMDA mobile units can also tow illegally parked vehicles. This raises red flags among motorists who fear this could lead abuse and divert attention from the original intent of the plan: to remove stalled vehicles from streets where they are causing traffic congestions. In the last month of 2015, a new player joined the local electric vehicle market. Taiwan-based Teco partnered with local motorcycle distributor Ropali to launch the Roteco e-trike and the Teco electric jeepney. This new entry was welcomed heartily by the Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines, an indication of its optimism for the new year coming. All year long in 2015, motorists and commuters complained about the traffic in Metro Manila. Those who live within the city complained about long hours driving or riding distances that encompassed just a few blocks. Those outside the metropolis complained about the difficulty of commuting from homes outside the metro to workplaces or schools inside the metro. This seemed to worsen as we entered deeper into 2015. Complaints mounted in direct proportions to the worsening traffic as the months turned into weeks, and weeks into days during the countdown towards Christmas and the New Year. Authorities announced moves to ease traffic, clearing mabuhay lanes of obstructions, identifying more alternative moves, suspending road projects till after the holidays, and making police and traffic enforcers more visible on busy streets to help manage traffic and deter criminals. But at the end of the day, palace officials appealed for help from motorists, commuters, public utility vehicle drivers in easing traffic congestion by being disciplined on the road, driving courteously, and obeying traffic signs and regulations.
Well, that was what we here at Motoring Today reported during the last quarter of 2015, a year that both had things going worse alongside with things going better. We'll wrap up this special opening year episode of Motoring Today when we return. Please stay with us.